What do you, our viewers, want to know about this vaccine? And joining us tonight to answer some of those questions is Dr. Ernst von Schwarz, a medical researcher and cardiologist. Dr. Schwarz, I know it's a very busy time for you. Appreciate your time with us tonight.
Thank you for having me on, Brendan.
So we did get a ton of questions after we put that question out over our Facebook, and we just want to kind of fire off some of those questions because, yeah, a lot of people have them these days. The first up tonight is from one of our viewers, Tammy Jamil, and she asks, all of the studies are on people over the age of 16. Her question, will kids under the age of 16 be able to get the vaccine, doctor?
Well, sooner or later they might, but definitely not in the first phase. As you know, especially your state has just issued a couple of hours ago a plan how to distribute the vaccine. And as you know, there's different phases. In the first phase, which is starting now, basically today until the end of this month, mainly healthcare workers and those at highest risk will get the vaccine. So healthcare workers who deal with COVID patients, then followed by emergency medical service workers, and then residents in long-care facilities. So you are right, the studies were done in people over 16 years of age, and at this point, there's no clear recommendation from the CDC whether kids should be vaccinated. That might change in the future, but it's definitely not a priority at this point, more the elderly, of course.
Okay, doctor, we have a question now coming from a viewer who is on the phone with us right now. Joining us live is Linda Remick. Linda, can you hear us okay?
I can, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Go ahead with your question.
Doctor, I want to make sure that as many people as possible get the vaccine, and I'm concerned about our large undocumented society here in Phoenix, and I want to make sure some kind of reassurance that they won't be discouraged because of requirements for identification, having their names taken, things like that.
Well, very, very good point, Linda. Thanks for bringing that up. That's a big problem, not only where you are, but I'm in Los Angeles, for example. It's the same here. So the only way to overcome this problem, in my opinion, is really to educate. We have to go out as healthcare providers into the groups, into the masses outside, and explain the safety, but also the necessity of getting the vaccine. Because keep in mind, in order to eradicate the virus and get rid of the pandemic, we require at least 70% of the total population needs to be vaccinated. It's a matter really of education and getting the word out and lead by example. So many people showed basically that they will get the vaccine. Some celebrities, some politicians went in the first place to get the vaccine. And I think that can help a little bit, but still we need to educate everybody, and we're open for every single question which is out there.
And doctor, this next question is going to come from somebody named Dylan right here from Phoenix. And Dylan asks, with the so-called snowbirds here in Arizona right now, do they change the amount of doses that Arizona is going to be getting from Pfizer and Moderna, since each state has a set number of shots based on population? If so, will these folks be able to get vaccinated here in Arizona, or will they have to fly back home to their other home state to get the vaccine?
Well, the idea at this point is, of course, wherever you get the first shot, you should get the second shot, which is usually for the Pfizer vaccine 4 weeks later, for the Moderna between 3 and 4 weeks later. So it would be, from an infrastructural point of view, very difficult to vaccinate across state lines for documentation reasons. So our recommendation is, of course, like I said, where you get the first shot, you should get the second shot. Also keep in mind, we do not want to mix the different vaccine types. So if you get started with the Pfizer vaccine, then you should get the second, also the Pfizer vaccine, and not Moderna and not AstraZeneca or any other, in order to ensure appropriate immunity.
Yeah, keep tabs on all of that. Doctor, this one also talking about the vaccines here. Leo wants to know, what are the chances a COVID vaccine will require a yearly or seasonal booster shot to remain inoculated?
Very good question. Very good. We don't know. That's just the honest answer. At this point, we know if someone had COVID before, that creates some immunity. However, We also know that people can get infected a second time or even a third time. That has reported in case reports. The immunization using the vaccine is definitely creating a stronger immune response than having had COVID itself before. But how long does it last? We really don't know. But again, the hope is that if enough people get vaccinated, we hopefully will get rid of this problem completely. Will there be a seasonal or annual vaccine requirement in the future? Completely unknown. I personally don't believe it. I think if we get rid of the pandemic, hopefully once and for all, we don't have to be revaccinated.
And doctor, as we begin to wrap up with you tonight, and again, appreciate your time, we have one final question for you, and it comes from somebody named Leilani Young. Their question is this: what is the difference between the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccines? Is one going to be more effective than the other?
Well, overall, there's not a big difference. Pfizer initially documented a 90% efficacy, and then Moderna documented a 94% efficacy in their trial. Then Pfizer came back and documented a 95% efficacy in their trial. So both of those vaccines are mRNA, messenger RNA vaccines, meaning it's a synthetic material which encodes in the body for what we call a spike protein of the coronavirus. So it's not the virus itself, and it's not an adenovirus like the AstraZeneca or the Russian version of the vaccine right now. So there's not a big difference. One of the differences from a practical point of view between Moderna and Pfizer is the need to keep it cool. So the Pfizer vaccine at this point requires to be stored at minus 90 degrees Fahrenheit, whereas the Moderna vaccine can be stored for a couple of days at least in a refrigerator.
All right, that is Dr. Ernst von Schwarz. Doctor, again, thank you for answering those questions. Really, I know our viewers truly appreciate it. Something new for all of us, a new vaccine. Got a lot of questions. We appreciate you answering those.